Morning, good morning, good morning. You know what today is? Monday Morning Chats with Sack, and Sack is me. I hope that you guys had a great weekend. I had a good weekend. I got a chance to check out two new restaurants in Baltimore. Well, they're new to me. Got a chance to check those out. So my goal is to try to hit up as many Baltimore restaurants as possible. Got a chance to do brunch and dinner. One spot was like an island cuisine type thing. Food was good. I got a chance to do brunch at this one spot. It's called No Way Rose, and I think it's called Federal Hill. I think it's considered Federal Hill in Baltimore, and that was cool. So I need to see what's going to be lined up for me in the coming weeks as I check out various restaurants in Baltimore. Last week I did not do Monday Morning Chats with Sec because that was April the 17th. And I was getting ready to close out the tax year. Now, granted, I still had tax returns to prepare, but the deadline was April 18th, so I really wanted to focus on that deadline. So there's a few things I want to talk about, and I've been thinking about this for a while. One of my really good friends, my best friend, when we had these like moments in time, we will reach out to each other and say, hey, we need to talk. And when we tell each other that, we need to make sure that if we have the time, we had the mental capacity to hear each other and just to listen, because that's the reason why we're calling. And so a few weeks ago, I was going to actually talk about it last week, but I really wanted to take some time to really process everything that I wanted to say. I want to say about 3 weeks ago, the beginning of April, I called one of my best friends, and I was in my home office. I was working, and God told me to stop, and I stopped. And I just thought about all these things, and I thought about somebody. I thought about somebody that I didn't see in a very long time. Well, yeah, I will say a very long time. There's been some time that has passed. Didn't see this person in a long time. And I started thinking about him. There was no bad thoughts. It was just a matter of, wow, this could have been something great, right? This could have been something great. Family liked the person. I liked the person. And, life happens, and sometimes it could just be bad timing. But, just a phenomenal person. But there was things that I really disliked. Things that I just did not like. And I called my best friend, and I told my best friend the lesson that I learned. Right? I learned this lesson when I was with this person. What I've learned, and what I don't like, and what's not fair. And then I talked about what happens when someone walks away from you, right? And it kind of tied into what I was saying about this one particular person. What I've learned is that it's easy to talk about why you walked away from someone, right? You can say this person didn't treat you right. You deserve better. And all those can be true. And it's easy to have a celebration about walking away from someone. And maybe your friends or family members were waiting for this day for you to finally break free and leave this person alone. Because let's be honest, most times, or majority of times, our family know what's best for us, even when we don't know. And sometimes we think we do know, but they can see the things that we can't see. And most times, the reason why we can't see the things that we need to see is because we're just so blindsided by love, right? We're willing to just look at all the good things, but the not so good things are just blaring at us, and it's evident, and you see it, and it's visible. But sometimes we like to ignore those things because we don't want to face them. But what happens when a person walks away from you? And that was a deep discussion that I had. I shared with you guys about one of my exes where we broke up. We broke up a week before my 30th birthday. And that year was a turning point for me because I had a pulmonary embolism and I thought I was going to die. I would have died if I didn't get medical treatment. moving forward, 2 years ago, one of my colleagues died from the exact same thing that I survived from. And so it just really put life in perspective for me. But I told my best friend, like I talked about, and I shared this several times on Monday morning chats, about what happened when someone walked away from me, right? I've learned to apologize. First guy I really apologized to, and it really changed my trajectory of how to move forward in relationships. But this conversation was different. And I said, it hurts when somebody walks away from you. It hurts. And sometimes we try to deny it and we think, oh, it's okay, I'm not worried about it. But deep down, it hurts. And I questioned at first when it happened, I had this I don't care attitude. I was like, okay, I can replace this person, right? It's okay. But I didn't want to do that. I waited till after my birthday. And it was those times where I was by myself, and it allowed me to really think and say, wow, this person really left me. And you question all these things as to, what did I do wrong? You think about, what if this happened? And you start playing all these hypotheticals in your head to have this idea of what you think the expected outcome would be. And I did that. And then I stopped. And I said, what part did I play in this breakup? Because everybody plays a part. And I had to really sit there in my thoughts. It's easy to be celebrated and to be acknowledged of your good work. But what happens when someone holds you accountable and say, hey, some of the things that you're doing is just not right? Are you willing to have those conversations? One of my male friends said that men get told what they're not doing right all the time, but women are lied to constantly. And that's not the first time that I heard that. And so when I was sitting in these thoughts, I wondered, what if this person lied to me about different things and was afraid to tell me because they didn't want to hurt my feelings? And I sat in that and I thought about it. And then I said, you know what? Let me be a bigger person. Well, you know what? Not even let me be a bigger person. Let me own up to what I've done. I reached out to him and I said, hey, I was fasting at the time. And I went to one of my restaurants in Prince George's County. It's called Jasper's. And I like it only because they have one of my favorite red wines. And I can't find it anywhere. Went there and I said, hey, I would really like to talk to you about, why we broke up. I apologize. And I'll explain it to you in person. So we got to the restaurant and I said, hey, thank you so much for joining. And I said, it's on me, right? I'm not afraid to treat a guy out. And I said, hey, it's on me. And he's a Southern gentleman. He's like, I'm not going to let you pay. And I'm like, okay, we're not going to fight here. And I said, I understand why you broke up with me, right? I'm 30. I just have this renewed energy and new sense of maturity. And I said, I understand why you broke up with me. And so I went through all the different conversations that we had and really paid attention to his responses and paid attention to the things I didn't say and the things I should have said. And I said all those things. And he was amazed by it. And he let me know he spoke his truth. And I said, I want you to be honest with me. You don't have to lie to me. Like, be honest. Like, I want you to be honest with me. Let me know, because this will help me in future relationships. And there's something that I have done. If I made you feel some type of way, please let me know. Please tell me. And he shared some things with me. And the one thing that he shared with me, and I never forget this, he was like, the things I was asking because I saw you as a wife. And sometime I would think maybe you don't want anybody. And I had to really sit there. I could not fight it. There was nothing else for me to say about it. I had to really listen to what he said. And I said, wow, he feels this way. And so when he said that, it made me think about, well, what is the behavior that I'm putting out, right? What is the behavior that I'm putting forth in the world to let people think or assume that I don't want anybody? And when we had this conversation, I'm thinking, I didn't respond. I was thinking to understand. And I had to sit there and really think about me and my actions and said, you know what? He's right. That's not my intentions, but my actions, they were right. And a big part of that was really having an understanding of what I wanted, but not understanding the responsibility that came with it. And I really believe that if you pray for something, you will get it. And it's so funny how life happens. Prior to me meeting him, I had to really cut ties with a guy that I loved in law school. He would send me gifts every year. We would talk all the time. And I thought about like, hey, have you ever considered us trying to make it work again? We were in 2 different states. We were far away. And he told me that he did not want to do long distance. I cried. And I said, God, I want to get over this, right? I want to get over this. And the one thing about a heartbreak is that you could tell God that you want to get over it, but those emotions will get to you at times. And it's something that if I know what I know now, I would have handled that situation a lot differently. But most times you can't tell yourself, I want to heal today. You just have to make a decision and just know that healing is messy. One day you're going to feel fine. The next minute, you're just going to be all over the place. Your emotions will be all over the place. And so during this time, after he told me he did not want a long distance relationship, I was in deep prayer. And I said, God, you know what I want? If it's in your will, these are the things that I want. And I said, I pray that, if the Bible says he who finds a wife finds a good thing, and I pray that a good man finds me. This was years ago. A few months later, my ex showed up in a picture. And he had great qualities, right? Amazing qualities. He was amazing. And the thing that I realized in that relationship is that I don't take nothing. Like if I call him today, he will answer. But that's from healing, and that's from really having conversation. And I shared this before, that after we broke up, and after I invited him to have a conversation, we went out again. And it was good. It was good. And I really don't do that often, but we went out again. And he asked me out again. But at that time, the time that he asked me out, it was just bad timing for me. Would I say yes if it wasn't bad timing? Probably so. But I met him, and it was something that I prayed for. And the one thing that I've learned is that you can pray for something and not be ready for it. And it could show up at your doorstep, and it could be fully packaged, but you may not be ready for it. But after that relationship, I really learned about, okay, these are the things that I don't want. And that's absolutely okay. These are the things that I want. And at this space, and talking to my therapist, I'm like, these are the things that I need. I need this. I can't go without this. And if a person can't give me this, it's not going to work. And I told my best when I said I looked at all these evolutions in my life. And the one thing that I learned from that relationship, that it hurts when people walk away from you. It's easy to talk about you walking away from somebody else. But I said it hurt when that person walked away. And I remember after the breakup, I went to a holiday party. And one of my good friends tried to hook me up with somebody like, hey, this person really likes you, Sakina. And I was like, I don't think I'm ready for that. Not right now. He said, hey, why don't you just give it a try? And I was like, I'll try. We went out on a date. We went out maybe on a few dates, and I realized, like, hey, I can't do this. And then after that, I did not date anybody for like 7 months. Like, nothing. 7 months. Just really taking time for myself, writing in my journal, just really talking to God. And I just realized that the next person that I met, it just came out of nowhere. And I met that person on my lunch break. And you just start to really think about, it's easy to talk about you're going to teach somebody a lesson, but what happens when you become the lesson? What do you learn from it? Do you just, once that relationship is over, you get with someone else and it clouds your judgment? You never get a chance to really process what happened. Did you really process what happened? A good friend of mine, and she's like the bomb when it comes to working out. She posted something on social media. It was a post of her and her partner. And I didn't take the picture, but I cropped the words attached to the post. And the one thing that she said was, I don't remember verbatim, but she talked about being open to love, right? And a closed fist, if you have a closed fist, you can't receive. If you have an open fist, you're able to receive. And when my ex told me that was 7 years ago. When he told me that, I realized that although I wanted these things, I wasn't ready to receive it. I wasn't ready to receive it. And I didn't know at that time. I thought I did. I nitpicked at everything. You know how they talk about women that nag? I was nagging about everything. But what I didn't realize is that every time I said something to him, he made a change. If I said, hey, this bothered me, he listened. And even though it didn't come into the form that I thought it should, he still made the effort. And I thought about, wow, I should have acknowledged that. But the thing about that is that most times with some folks, they live in the past and they can't see the future. And for me, I look at the past to learn from. I don't stay there. But people walking away from you hurt, and it hurts. And I've learned that when someone walks away from you, do you really take the time to figure out your part? That's the most important thing. And can you hold yourself accountable? And can you make a conscious decision to say that, hey, I want to do better? People in relationships, and it's easy to point the finger at someone else, but can you point the finger at you and say, hey, is this a pattern? Or I'm going to change the pattern. The choice is yours. But when he made that comment about I'm not open, I realized that I had a closed fist. And even though I thought it was open, I had to heal. I thought I healed from the last guy, and I didn't. But looking back at that situation, I realized that, hey, I needed to heal. And that's okay. Me and another friend talked about this yesterday, about forgiveness. I had to really forgive myself for the things I didn't know in prior relationships. I had to look back at it and say, whether that person walked away from me or I walked away from them, what lesson did I learn? And what can I do? And sometimes, some relationships, honestly, it catch you off guard. And you're like, what happened? What happened? This doesn't make sense. But what I've learned is that I had to forgive myself in those different stages of relationships. And I had to say, you know what? There's some things that I didn't know. There's some things I should have learned, but I didn't learn yet. And at the time, I can see the difference in me in those past relationships compared to when I started going to therapy. Like, totally different. Totally different. Like, really talking about the things that bother me and being okay with that. Being true to myself. Telling people how I feel. But the thing that I've learned about emotional intelligence, and I'm very emotionally intelligent, is that some things don't deserve a response. Even though you want to say it, you don't need to say it. But back to forgiveness. There was a post that I posted on my story. And the thing that this is what I think. Most times when people talk about forgiveness, yes, it's forgiveness for yourself, not just for the other person. But most times when people talk about forgiveness, they talk about how they relinquish the pain. They release the pain. They release the hurt. They release the resentment. And they move on from the person. But what I think sometimes we use forgiveness as a way to dispose people. Like, hey, I forgive you for what you have done. I forgive you for the pain that you caused me. I forgive myself for the resentment that has built up inside of me. And because I made this decision to forgive, you could be out of my life. And that's when I had to really understand grace. Yes, some people may not deserve another seat at the table in your life. Some people may never deserve a front seat, a front row, as being in the audience of your life, right? But the one thing I had to learn is think about the infraction. What did that person actually do? Is it enough to really dispose of this person? Because people are humans. And when I had this conversation with one of my friends yesterday, we talked about grace. He said, think about all the times you sin. And think about every time you sin, God can make the choice to dispose you, and he doesn't. He still loves you, and he still cares. The one thing that I've learned about forgiveness is not just about the grace that comes with that, but still being kind to people that hurt you. Still show integrity. I think by far that's the most hardest thing I have ever done. And I've learned that sometimes, even when you explain the hurt, some people may not even understand, because maybe they are trying to heal from something that we know nothing about. But are you just disposing people? Just letting them go, like, hey, I'm going to let you go. Hey, I'm going to let you go. Or are you just like throwing people away? And if so, why? Why are you throwing people away? Are you able to have a conversation with them to really talk about your feelings and how something may have hurt you? Are you able to do that? Are we going to be adults enough to really say, hey, this hurt me. Can we talk about it? So instead of just throwing people away, are you open to restoring relationships? Are you open to really starting something fresh? And the thing that I pray to God about, and I'll share this, is that in this time frame over the last 2 years, if I told you that I forgive you, I do. And I know what that means. And I'm going to tell you what it means. If I say, I forgive you, first I had to say that I forgive myself. So the forgiveness to myself, that's already been done. But when I tell someone that I forgive you, and I hope you're able to forgive me, I hope you're able to forgive me for any pain that I caused you and you never told me. I hope that you're able to forgive me. These are the prayers that I have to God. And then when I tell someone, hey, I forgive you for anything you have done. Whether it was something hurtful, whether it was something that cried. And I can tell you, in 2021, I cried. That was a turning point for me. I cried because I knew in my heart that things had to change in my life. And one of the biggest changes was when my parents left out of my house, and my house was a healing house. And I had to really sit with God and say, hey, now that I have this space, Now that I'm by myself, God, what changes do you need me to make? I need to first start with healing myself. I need to first start with forgiving myself, because there's some people that don't deserve to be in my life right now. And I need you to help me allow them to make the exit. Or I need you to help me walk away. And really walk away. And when I did that, I really learned the importance of grace. And understanding that sometimes you have to separate yourself from people. You do. No matter how much you fight it, sometimes you do. Because most times, and it's unfortunate that some people know your worth. They realize your worth the moment you walk away from them. And it's unfortunate. It happened to me. I'm really understanding somebody's worth when they walk away. But I've learned the importance of restoring. Like really saying that, hey, I don't want to just throw this person away. And when I talk to God and I listen to God, God was saying that, yeah, you threw this person away. Yeah, you wanted to walk away, but I'm going to show you what forgiveness really looks like. And forgiveness is when you say you forgive, but you have to act on it. And how you act on it is, how do you treat this person when you're in their presence? And that was the hardest thing for me to do. How do you say you forgive somebody, but you have to be in their presence? It looks a little differently. And then I realized that some people are not meant to just throw away. You can restore it. But you can also make the decision to say, hey, maybe that's not what I want. And that's absolutely okay. That's absolutely okay. Although there's power in walking away from someone, the question is, what lesson did you learn when someone walked away from you? What lesson was it? I challenge all my friends and family that's watching this that I really believe in honesty. My phrase is, give it to me straight, no chaser. If you ever felt like I did something to you, please tell me. That's how I learn. That's how I grow. I don't want to be right all the time. I want to make sure what are things I need to improve in. I'm not perfect. No person is perfect. And if you're looking for a perfect person, you'll never find that person. Whether it's a friend, whether it's a lover, whether it's a family member, no one's perfect. But I've learned to really see past all of that and say, hey, what is this person's character like? Is that something that I find attractive? Is that something that I like? Those are the different conversations that I have. And my prayer to God is that, God, I need you to clean my heart and make it anew. Change my thoughts. Allow me to look at things from your perspective. Teach me how to love just like you. Like 1 Corinthians chapter 13, I love that. And I really understand what it means. At first, I just thought it was dope to cite the scripture, but really reading the scripture and really understanding what it means. And what I've learned is that you could walk away from people, or people could walk away from you. But when you really care about the person, you never stop thinking about them. No matter how hard you try. No matter how hard you try. So I challenge you today to 1, forgive. 2, forgive yourself. Forgive the other person. Understand what forgiveness means. Give yourself grace. And be open. Right? Because love is patient. Love is kind. It does not keep score of wrongdoing. And that is something that was difficult for me. Because I'm like, this person did this. God, take them away. And I realized that maybe I did the same to somebody else. And I hope and pray that one day that they give me grace. Because Lord knows I'm going to need it. I'm not perfect. So I challenge you today to not have a closed fist, but have an open fist, to be willing to receive The things that you pray for. Because I could tell you that the things that you pray for, you can get it. The question is, when it shows up to you, do you have an idea what it's gonna look like, or you're gonna be open to it? So open your fist. Be open to receive. Be open to receive constructive criticism. Be open to receive things that can help you, that can make you grow. Because we all need to grow. And we are all better together. That's all I have. I hope that it blessed you. It blessed me as I was saying this to you. And these words resonated with me. So I pray that it helps you. It's Monday, so I'd like to shout out to all the dope men out there. You are amazing. You are great. You are phenomenal. And I hear this all the time, that it sucks for men when they get rejected. And sometimes that can shatter your self-esteem, your confidence, and maybe you are afraid to love again because it was that one woman that hurt you. And I don't know what that's like. I'm not a man. But I can tell you that there's someone out there that can love you, that can be there for you, that can love you past your pain, and understand that what they may call a red flag can just be a point of conversation. You are amazing. You are great. I hope and pray that people do give you the safe space to really express how you feel, and for people just to listen to you so you could be understood, without people assuming that you're crazy and you're overthinking things, or hey, this doesn't sound right, because your feelings are validated. Your feelings are valid. That's all I have, guys. Have a great Monday. Have a great week. And just know, for everyone that's listening, you are amazing. You are spectacular. This will be on YouTube. And so once it gets posted on YouTube, I hope and pray that you share it with other people, or you could listen to it on Instagram. It'll be here for about 24 to 48 hours. Take care, guys.